Oh no, we have the soldering mat out. What are we soldering? Hopefully we're soldering this DC jack. All right, here's what we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out if this DC jack that I ordered is the correct DC jack. And if that's what the problem this lady was having is. All right, DC jack replacement. Today, we'll clap ourselves in. Turn the hat around. Today we are going to be replacing, or hoping to replace, a DC jack on an MSI MS-16R1. So on the bottom we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 screws. So let's start by taking those out. See if we have different lengths. So the symptoms that this has is like when you plug in this power cord and you move it around, it'll charge and then stop charging and then charge again and stop charging. All right, so far all of the screws are the same length, including the security screw, which isn't really a security screw. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. If you like these videos, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. It really, really helps the channel. Yes, the old HP laptops used to do the same thing. All right, so once that is loosened, we have the screws out. We're gonna grab a corner here. We're gonna work on getting these out. See if we actually have something that we can grab here. As far as the separator goes, there we go. That corner will do it for us. And then we just slowly work our way around, make sure we didn't miss any screws. We did. We should be able to just gently, he says, remove bottom of our laptop. So first things first, I want to look at to see if we got the right one. Let's take a look at this before we go any farther. That wire costs money and takes up space. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking about, Master. Okay, so this, well, okay, it's not the right, it is the right one, sort of. It's just a different version of it. So the legs line up, but there's stability pads on it, and all the rest of the pins are in the right place. Bruh, I'm not about to go through that again. I literally just edited a video last night, so if you're watching this, you've probably seen the video where I do a terrible job replacing a DC jack. Like a terrible job. I spent 3 hours and I end up just moving the USB-C port to another spot instead of replacing it. All right, let's get this apart the rest of the way. So we're gonna unplug our battery. I think this battery is sitting on top of the motherboard. So that means it's glued in. Pull tab release for this or something? What the heck? Yeah, I recently had a problem pouring alcohol onto a computer. I'll tell you about it when the time comes. And I'm eating the cost of a screen because of it. So that's supposed to be the pull tab. No, I don't think so. So when that screen comes in, we'll go over what happened, but like quick rundown. The alcohol that I used to get the screen off, to get it like separated from the LCD cover, it separated the LCD from the backlight. That is correct. That is exactly what happened. So first things first, we're going to remove the battery, because you always want to do that whenever you're doing anything like this. What we're trying to get to is this. It looks like there's a lot of stuff that needs to come off and get disconnected. So we need to make sure we disconnect all of our cables. We have 1, 2, we have some that are going to be going to the bottom of the board, so we have to remember that. Let's get our hard drive out. Basically, anything that is ancillary to the main board, we want to pull out. Not come with it. It's that up, out. It's that. Get our speakers unplugged. And to be clear, I did not pour alcohol on the LCD. I sprayed it on the LCD cover, but some of it got onto the actual LCD panel itself, and you know, now I'm just replacing that screen because I know it's my fault. Emily was just asking me what happens when I damage a customer computer. That's what happens. I fix it. So after that, basically the next step is we're going to start removing screws for the motherboard. We have one over here. And I say that we're not going to remove any screws from the motherboard yet. We need to remove the cooling apparatus. So watch your numbers. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a 10. Okay, that is now off. Set that off to the side. When we put this back together, we will repaste. So, holding the motherboard in, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and that is it as far as screws are concerned. And like I said, we have cables on the bottom. These are flips, so we flip, pull, pull, and that one slides towards you. And now we have a free motherboard. Oh, so actually, this one's reversed. So while yes, you do need to disconnect it from the motherboard, you also need to disconnect it from the trackpad because it's glued to the motherboard. What a great design. MSI, you're hitting all of my buttons lately. All right, so now we can set this off to the side. So we're going to be removing this guy right here. Checking to see. Everything else looks good. All right, let's grab some standoffs. See if any of these spots are going to be large enough for me to put my standoff through. Just barely. Just barely. One. A 2. Is that hole large enough? I'd like it to be. Yay! I'm gonna make sure we're not crushing any components on the other side right there. Yeah, we're good. 3. And then the last one is going to be right here. So this is what we're replacing. And here is our replacement. Now, as you can see, they are slightly different. The main thing that's different is this one has feet on the side. This one has feet on the front. And as long as those front feet aren't necessary for the operation of this, which I do not believe they are, everything else about this should be fine. So let's start off with some flux on this. Let's turn our hot air station on. Flux on all of our things. This should heat up real quick. I have to be careful of the USB port next to it. So as per usual, we're just going to dump a bunch of heat right into this component. Get that flux going, get that solder going. So we need to be careful because right behind this there are a couple small tiny little components. Now we're gonna heat and wait. And if this doesn't want to come off easily, we'll do what was suggested, which is we'll toss some low melt solder on this. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. So So front USB ports are loosening, or USB port vias are loosening. That rear one is quite thick. It might be a problem.
That's what she said.
All right, and there we go. Now, as far as the question of whether or not this DC jack was broken, put this here, a quick visual inspection says yes, it was definitely broken. So, good to know. Flip this over. Nothing underneath the board. So we'll grab our hemostats and we're going to add some more flux. And we're actually going to add a little bit of low melt to this for the process of removing this. All right, so now we're going to add a little bit of solder flux onto there. Then we're going to use some solder wick to get this stuff out of here. Everyone has their own method for doing this. There is not really a wrong method. Do whatever you are comfortable with. This is what I'm comfortable with. I enjoy doing it this way. I'm going to repeat what I just said. Do whatever you find the most comfortable, the most effective for you. But whatever you do, don't accidentally remove the wrong components. And now we're going to flippity flip. Look at this from this side, see how we did. Looks like we did pretty good. Gonna let this... Time to fill up my alcohol again. Just cleaned up a little bit here. I think I just need to do some cleanup on that specific hole. But other than that, I think we're looking okay. All right, so now let's look at that. Immediately, I'm seeing a problem. Okay, so what is not lining up? We're going to slowly look at this from all of the angles. It's not just going to be one like before. Something underneath? Is it literally this pin? Let's see what else is different on these. Well, they look mostly the same. I'm just trying to figure out what is... Something in the back is hanging up. So my concern right now is that this right here is what's hanging up. I don't think it's anything else. I think it's literally that right there. And if it is, that's a problem. It definitely is what is hanging up too. You can see it there. So what do you do with that? Do you modify the motherboard? That fits in. You can just see it rolling over. So right here, right there is where it's making contact. And there's not really much that can be done with that, which honestly is probably why this broke. They're the same depths, but that is probably why this broke. So you can see, all right, so we can actually look at the differences here, and actually I can point out exactly where the difference is. So on the old one, which is this one, you can see there is a cutout right here where that plug would sit. This one, that cutout does not exist. So unless I figure out a way to get in there and then tilt this back, there's no way this is going in. Like whatever. So my options at this point are pretty limited. I can try and increase the curve of this and then tilt these slightly back. So instead of sitting like this, they're sitting more like this. And then instead of being an actual curve, this pin would actually be sitting like that as well. And this would probably drop in there. But it runs the risk of not working at all and just snapping. That is quite solid. Because if I do this, it is very close. So we're gonna have to be very, very gentle here. If this breaks, I do not have another. The other thing we have to make sure when I'm doing this is that we're not making contact here. Because this is 19 volt, that's ground. We are closer. I mean, I'm putting torque on it, it's barely moving. So the other thing that we need to make sure is actually getting deep enough is these. I need to straighten that back out. That looks terrible. What did I do here? Unbelievable. So this is sticking up above the board. That is sticking up above the board. All of these are sticking up above the board. Let's look at this from a side profile. We've angled that plug just enough. It is physically making contact with the board. I think we're gonna be good with this. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna do something as a precaution. I'm gonna take some electrical tape. We're gonna cut a nice little strip of electrical tape. And then we're going to put it directly behind where this jack makes contact with the board to act as like a baby little, just a little baby cushion. Just because I want to be careful. And when I hit this thing with heat, it's going to melt slightly, which is fine. But right here, just creating just a little buffer. Alright, so now everything in there, get this out of the way, get that out of the way. You can see it's on there now. We have that little, just that little piece of electrical tape that's in there. And then we flux it up so that this will flow. Let the flux flow through you. All right, so now switch back over to this, switch back over to this, unplug that, plug this back in. We have fan spin. I think we're making a nice solid connection now. Oh yeah, that is incredibly firm. All right, cool. So we know we're working now. We'll undo what I just did. And we are going to get this removed, get all of the rest of the ribbon cables plugged back in on the bottom of this. Then pack this up and get this out of here. All right, that's it. This guy's good to go. We're gonna get this cleaned up. We're gonna get this off of here. That is a firm boy. Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked that video, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I stream daily on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpecVengeance. And yeah, if you want to learn more about my services, check out Bradenton PC Repair.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.